Charles Leclerc started the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend as a hero and finished as a symbol of everything that's broken at Ferrari. This wasn't just a dip in performance, it was a collapse, a loud, unavoidable sign that Ferrari's entire technical concept is flirting with illegality and failure. And if you're a fan of Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, it's time to face a hard truth. The car they promised the greatest driver of all time might just be a house of cards. But what exactly caused Leclerc's collapse? And why might it be a direct warning for Hamilton's future? Charles Leclerc shocked everyone on Saturday with a masterful lap. Pole position by just 0.026 seconds over Oscar Piastri. It looked like Ferrari had finally nailed it. The SF25 showed speed, confidence, balance. And in the early laps of the race, that was confirmed. Leclerc led with authority. He pulled away from Piastri. He looked in control. But with Ferrari, disaster isn't a possibility. It's a scheduled event. And when that moment comes, the fall is far uglier than anyone expects. On lap 41, Leclerc made his second pit stop. Ferrari put him on the hard tires. But instead of staying in the fight for victory, what happened? His pace vanished. 2, 3, 4, 5 laps, losing 2 seconds per lap. And then came the explosion. This is so incredibly frustrating. We've lost all competitiveness. You just have to listen to me. Leclerc was furious, and rightfully so. This wasn't just a bad tire call. It was a total collapse in performance. The grip disappeared. The car became undrivable. The race turned into a nightmare. But what no one expected was that he'd completely change his story just minutes later. What did Leclerc say after the checkered flag? Surprisingly, he changed his tone. Actually, the problem came from the chassis. It was a technical issue. Nothing we could have done differently. The same Ferrari he had ripped on the radio now got a pass. Why? Because the full truth, my friends, is never told in public. There's an unwritten rule at Maranello. Wash the dirty laundry inside the motorhome, never in front of the cameras. But what if the issue wasn't the chassis at all, and instead something far more dangerous that Ferrari's been hiding since China? In Budapest, Ferrari found itself cornered. To avoid excessive plank wear, they made 2 key adjustments in the pit stop. Raised tire pressures, which lifts the car but reduces grip. Reduced front wing angle, to rebalance the aero but sacrifice control. The result? Leclerc had no way to fight. He became a passenger in his own car. He got overtaken, got a penalty for erratic driving, and finished 42 seconds behind the winner. A race that began as a victory shot ended with the driver defeated, frustrated, and once again without clear answers. But what if these kinds of adjustments aren't rare, but part of a silent, recurring pattern Ferrari's been using race after race? Here's a truth no Ferrari fan wants to admit, but every Hamilton supporter already suspects. Ferrari today is a team divided between talent and disarray. It has one of the fastest cars in qualifying, but it only performs under specific fragile conditions. And now that Hamilton is part of the equation, he inherits a car that lives on extremes. That needs to be driven on a razor's edge. That flirts with disqualification just to be competitive. Is that a gift or a trap? If you're a Lewis fan, like I am, this situation is unacceptable. The greatest driver in F1 history shouldn't rely on technical gimmicks to shine. He needs structure, consistency, a team that understands him and grows with him. But maybe the clearest and most dangerous explanation comes from someone who's seen it all. Martin Brundle. Martin Brundle, former F1 driver and current Sky Sports analyst, said what Ferrari wouldn't dare say. What's really going on with this car? According to him, the SF25 is extremely sensitive to ride height. Specifically, this Ferrari only works when it runs very close to the ground, especially at the rear. That means more grip, more speed, but far more risk. Because when the car runs too low, it starts scraping the floor. That wears the plank, the mandatory wooden board underneath. And if it wears too much, the car becomes illegal, immediate disqualification. It already happened to Ferrari in China, and now they live in a constant dilemma. Push for performance or stay legal. You can't always have both. What happened in Budapest, higher tire pressures, trimmed front wing, was a desperate attempt to stay within the rules, even if it killed performance. Leclerc wasn't just angry. He was driving a ticking time bomb. Leclerc isn't just frustrated with a bad race. He's exposing, perhaps unintentionally, the cracks in Ferrari's entire philosophy. And what happened to him in Budapest could happen to Hamilton at any moment. That angry team radio from Leclerc should be a warning, not just for Maranello's engineers, but for every fan still hoping Ferrari is ready to give Hamilton his 8th title. Because if Ferrari needs to run barely legal just to be fast, maybe the real issue isn't reliability. Maybe it's the reliability of the entire project.